to the CDO conference, and my thanks to David Matheson, a friend and colleague for many years who founded the CDO Summit and the CDO Club. We are proud at Ellig Group to be a strategic partner with David Matheson and have done that for the past 7 years. It's great to do this fireside chat again for the second year in a row. Last year it was a room full of people, but happily we can do it virtually and technology is working so we can socially connect on this very important topic. I am delighted to be joined today by Martina Cheung, who is president of S&P Global Markets Intelligence, for this fireside chat on the important topic of using data to navigate new business challenges, particularly during these unprecedented times. As a member of S&P's Global Operating Committee, she leads one of 4 divisions with a global team of nearly 10,000 people, with responsibility for driving enterprise-wide growth strategy initiatives, including for ESG and cyber risk. And she speaks on these topics at public forums, such as the World Economic Forum at Davos, the Institute for International Finance, and Politico Women Rule. Welcome, Martina Cheung. Thank you for joining me today for the fireside chat.
Thank you, Janice. It's a pleasure to be able to do this remotely, the wonders of technology.
I know, and that's what you lead a lot. I know our audience would like to hear more, because they're in the digital and data expert area, about your division of S&P Global Market Intelligence and how the division is adapting to the new demands today and what you've been doing of late.
Absolutely. So within S&P Global, we have 4 divisions. Many of you will be familiar with S&P Global Ratings, the Dow Jones Index division, and we also have a Commodities Price Assessment division called Platts. And the division that I run, Market Intelligence, could be seen as sort of the data and analytics and product arm of the company. And we like to say that data is at our core, and we make that data available in ways that and combinations that help our clients to make very important decisions. And our clients are very varied. They span all sectors: corporates, financial institutions, governments, asset managers, asset owners, etc. And many of them will take our data, combine it with their own data, and use it in ways to enable a vast variety of different kinds of decisions. And within market intelligence, specifically within our data operations area, we've had to rethink a little bit the future of how we think about bringing those insights and that data to our clients. And a lot of the investments that we've been making in data science and machine learning and developing new capabilities and finding new data on behalf of our clients are all great examples of how we are navigating and helping our clients to navigate also.
So as your customers are going through major digital transformations, which is probably happening now even more so, how do you support their efforts? Again, you go across all sectors. How are you supporting them? And with new technologies, new data science, what are you doing?
So I think it's helpful to frame first what the challenge is that we most typically hear about, and specifically from chief data officers, even chief innovation officers, COOs. What we most frequently hear about are the challenges of taking large amounts of data from legacy systems, actually extracting it and making it useful and connecting it and linking it, and then trying to combine that with either outside data that they may have already been receiving or new data sets that are appearing. And a lot of our clients who are in the chief data officer role feel a lot of onus to actually be able to make a statement on how they're using some of this new data that is coming forth every single day. And so we look at the problem in a couple of different ways with our clients. The first thing is, as we're thinking about linking of data and actually bringing data sets from multiple different places, we've been able to bring the power of our innovation hub, Kensho, which is based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. They've actually developed some very sophisticated linking capabilities that firstly have actually allowed us internally to be able to rapidly scale the process of bringing very unstructured data sets and connecting them. For instance, taking unstructured data on the supply chain, for example, and actually linking it to a specific company or series of companies, so that our clients can make good use of this disparate data. The other way in which we are helping our clients is actually providing them with a service to help them understand which of these new or alternative data sets are actually helpful and which ones may not be. And so we have several data science and quantamental research teams who, for the last probably 3 years or so, have been diving into these new data that are coming out every single day, whether it's satellite imagery, foot traffic data, real estate data, supply chain data, and actually testing a lot of these data sets for signal or for relevance, and then pre-combining them with data sets that our clients already use from us, most typically company data, financial data, et cetera, so that they can make use of the data in that way that it is already curated, researched, proven, and pre-linked. And we just launched in the past month a marketplace for our clients to actually go in and be able to pick these interesting new data sets and have it pre-linked. Either we can do it for them, or they can easily bring the data into their own environment to be able to use it and test it in multiple different ways.
So as you're saying, more and more data is coming at your clients, right? And you're figuring out new ways to give them better solutions with this, and your clients' expectations are changing. Do you see more of this just happening, that you are going to be providing more solutions like this? Like, it's not going to stop, right? It's going to continue.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because one of the areas that we hear a lot about these days is either sustainability or ESG. And, there are, you could go down into so many different layers under that broad umbrella of sustainability or ESG. And we have identified areas that we think are material to our clients, as in they can be impactful to our clients' portfolio performance or our clients' own financial performance. Specifically, we think climate risk is incredibly important. And so we have gone out and found a lot of the underlying data that is necessary to evaluate the impact of physical climate risk. So for example, if you are any kind of company, a bank, an energy company, et cetera, understanding your exposure to extreme weather, to heat stress, to rising water levels is incredibly important. And what we've been able to do is actually collect asset level data. So on a specific utility plant or a specific bank branch, and actually model the physical risk of climate change around that. And that's an example of an area that is becoming increasingly important and of huge focus for our clients. And it is something that requires a lot of help our clients with that sort of analysis.
So going across sectors though, are there some sectors that are requiring more time, more solutions, more changes, more transformations than other sectors that are coming to you?
I would say we see it across the board. Traditionally we might have heard quite a bit from our financial institution clients. So certainly the ones who were leading the charge on many of these innovations around data science for alternative data, you could think easily of hedge funds or asset managers or leading investment banks, for example. But more and more, we're actually getting calls from CEOs of corporations saying, could you please come in and help us figure out, it's the same set of problems. We're sitting on a ton of legacy data. We know that we can probably be using it to make better decisions, and B, there may be things that we didn't know about our company or our clients, and we would love some help with that. And so we see the questions and requests coming in from all sectors.
So what advice would you give to the CDOs, chief data and chief digital officers in the audience today who are leading some of these functions in their companies? And then I want to get into the current situation of the pandemic.
Absolutely. I think there are a couple of things to maybe understand. One is that the notion of that data is a silver bullet is it's a little dangerous, because data, like everything else, has its limitations. And so I would say just to be mindful of when you're thinking about using data and bringing this all together and the tools that are needed to understand it, you're going to come up against things like limitations in the availability of the data itself, as well. Oftentimes we find data sets that have big holes in them. They're not complete. They may not have long enough data histories against which you can actually back test the usefulness of the data. I would also say that, the machine learning, while it is very, modern and very much, a topic of the day for CDOs. Probably most CDOs who would be listening to this will know that there are, a lot of things to consider when deploying machine learning. And we ourselves, for our own internal capabilities, practice a model of that we call human in the loop, which means that the machine can do so much, and then you really need some human intervention because we can't tolerate inaccuracies that may arise from just constant deployment of machine learning models without that human intervention. And so, I would say there are a lot of things like that to take into consideration. I think, finding good partners is a good way to help with that. We have clients, some of which prefer to do things themselves. Obviously we're certainly delighted and we do partner with our clients quite extensively in this area. But I would say most importantly, I wish you good luck in navigating this. It's definitely not an easy landscape right now with digitization and the flow of just increasing volumes of data. And certainly I and my team are here to help if you need it.
So, right, and they can contact you at S&P Global, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
We'll get to that at the very end. So shifting now to this world pandemic, COVID-19, how has it impacted your business, the demands, what the expectations are, short-term, long-term?
We are the largest division by employee count within S&P Global, and we have thousands of employees in, probably 28, I think, or 29 countries around the world. But we have some very large locations in India, Pakistan, and the Philippines specifically. And as you can imagine, with that many employees, the first thing is obviously to make sure that everybody is well, and that people are safe and understand the possible implications, for them from a health standpoint. And we have a phenomenal people team within S&P Global that has really stepped up to the real challenge here and helped our employees in multiple different ways. I would say our operational focus shifted immediately to how do you get literally 10,000 plus people to work from home. And it was Herculean. I mean, and it differed by location because the governments within each of the countries in which we operate, even within India, where we have offices in very many cities, the state governments had different timelines during which they wanted people to work from home, under various different scenarios. And so that took quite a bit, but we have a phenomenal internal technology and workplace capability, and we were able to, at one point, we have people now back in certain cities in Asia, but at one point we had 99.8% of our employees working from home. And our productivity within market intelligence was in excess of 90%. During that entire time, even as we were moving people out. So I've just been really wowed by my team and the support that we've had from our colleagues across S&P Global. I think moving beyond the operational logistical challenge that it represented, I think I can honestly say that it was a privilege to be sitting on a lot of the data research and insight based capabilities that we have both within market intelligence as well as across S&P Global, because we were actually able to bring a lot of our insights to help our clients understand situations. And one thing that I'm particularly proud of is we have a very unique supply chain data set called Panjiva, and we made that data set available for free to hospitals and governments and nonprofits so that they could track the supply chain for PPE, ventilators, and other medical equipment And it just, what an honor to be able to do something like that at this
That's
time,
fantastic.
Yeah, and it just has been really wonderful. Our research teams have gotten out and done webinars. We've made them available to everyone, not just our clients. We've published a lot of research on this area to try to help our clients understand the impact for their counterparties, themselves, their clients, etc. And it's been, I think I've been very proud to be part of S&P at this time. A very difficult time, but what a great thing to work with such a wonderful group of people.
But Doug Peterson, your CEO, that's really magnanimous in terms of what can we do as a corporation
Yeah.
to help those really in need. And so you've done that. Are there
Yeah.
new demands that are coming to you because of COVID-19 in terms of companies saying, post COVID-19, how can we be better prepared? Are they looking for, data points or
Yeah.
information or, yes, new?
Yeah, they are
Yeah.
absolutely. I can tell you that something that you might not imagine is because of there's been so much private money and private assets as an asset class have grown so dramatically. So we're getting a lot of interest in information on private companies, private assets, and more broadly, at its highest level, sort of private equity portfolios, because that's an area where a lot of those companies may have been smaller, may not have had as much, financial depth to be able to withstand the challenges that COVID has presented. So that's been an area of keen interest. We have an initiative where we're deploying data. It was something that had been planned a long time ago, but we're expanding our data coverage to about 50 million private companies over the next 12 months. And so, a lot of our clients are coming in saying, hey, can I get early views on that? We really need to understand a little bit more about what's going on in that sector. And I would say, in some of the more traditional areas, we had, I just looked at a stat this morning, we deployed a COVID branch map for our commercial bank content, which would allow you to actually understand, areas where specific branches are most exposed based on where the cases were happening and where the crisis was being felt most intensely. And as very recently launched, and as of this morning, we had over 340,000 hits on that just alone. So it's, I think it's a combination of, just your basics, right? A lot of this is really getting back to basics and figuring out, can we just understand, which companies are struggling and what's the impact, as well as some of the newer sort of tools and things that we have, like, very location specific data that people are looking for also. And I would say that, the research that we've been able to do, both out of our supply chain research team and our sector specific teams has been very well received as part of this also.
Martina, you have a huge job and responsibility, and I understand you started in consulting, like likes of Accenture, and so you have this mindset for problem solving. Any final thoughts and advice for our audience as they try to navigate these uncharted waters during unprecedented times and problems that we've never seen before?
One thing, and I was actually speaking with my entire data leadership team this morning as we're mapping out our 5-year strategy. A lot of things that we're taking into consideration ourselves post-COVID, as you can imagine. The one thing I would say is, in as much as possible, to try to keep it simple, because there are so many different ways to approach the problem, and a lot of times, perhaps the one solution that may be a little closer to home and a little simpler might be the best way to go. And I would say that's the same for whether it's different kinds of technologies, different kinds of cloud technologies, different types of machine learning tools, as well as some of the new and, sort of very sexy alternative data that's coming out. A lot of that stuff is still on the periphery in terms of its ability to be very effective. And so I think, sort of keeping it simple it would be my broad advice.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today for this fireside chat with the CDO conference and David Matheson. We really thank you for inviting us. And if people want to get in touch with you, I think they can go through David Matheson, as well as maybe contacting you at S&P Global Market Intelligence. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. And it's been a thrill to chat with you. It's great to get any kind of interaction these days. So it's delightful. And I'm very happy to see you in person.
Yeah, we're all craving social interaction, aren't we? This is getting a little old, but we'll continue until it's all clear sign comes across. Okay.
Indeed.
Thank you so much, Martina Cheung. David Matheson, thank you, and good luck with the CDO conference and to all who joined us today. Thank you very, very much.